The OnePlus 10 Pro felt like a slightly disappointing follow-up to the OnePlus 9 Pro, but how does the OnePlus 11, sans Pro, stack up? Well, let's find out together. Thanks for watching 9to5 Google here on YouTube. Remember to thumbs up, hit subscribe and then tap the bell icon to be among the first to watch our upcoming videos. It's important to note ahead of time that OnePlus appears to be dropping the Pro versions of devices, at least in future. In many ways we think this is a good thing, but it feels quite jarring given that we've seen the standard and Pro models every year since 2019. Who knows though, we could see this change reverted to with future releases, but for now it seems to make a lot of sense. Because of that, expecting massive design refreshes out is probably out of the question each and every single year. We have given kudos to OnePlus in recent years for tweaking and refining the colour material finish or CMF recipe for their flagship smartphones. The changes here are limited to the rear camera bump, which now wraps around slightly the edge of the frame and bleeds more cohesively into the chassis of the OnePlus 11. OnePlus are also shipping this new model as having an LTPO 3.0 panel, and it certainly feels smoother than the already slick 10 Pro screen. Another benefit is this dynamic refresh rate, which can now drop as low as 1 Hz when showing the always on display, something that isn't available on the OnePlus 10 Pro, or at least we're told as such. This should help save battery life and combine with existing AOD design libraries to make your phone last that extra bit longer. Most of the notable changes though are, as you would expect, to the internals. The upgrades are not truly substantial, but there are upgrades nonetheless. Qualcomm's most powerful current mobile processor is at the very heart of the OnePlus 11. There is an apparent 35% total performance gain on this new chip versus the Snapdragon 8 Gen 1. Graphical performance and power savings though are where the most substantial boosts have supposedly been made. On paper, there are some notable performance boosts when switching from Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 to the latest Snapdragon 8 Gen 2. Whether it's placebo or not, the OnePlus 11 does feel faster and therefore smoother than a recently reset OnePlus 10 Pro. In isolation, the OnePlus 10 Pro is still as fluid as it was at launch, but when we start to compare things side by side, as you would expect, the newer handset does feel like it has a little bit of an edge. Apps should load milliseconds faster here too, thanks to the upgrade from UFS 3.1 to UFS 4.0 storage on the OnePlus 11 series, but this isn't actually always the case. Make no mistake though, these are both fast, fluid phones that can take anything you can throw at them. There are very few, if any, new software tweaks on these devices though, save a few exclusive features that are actually packed into the OnePlus 11. This means that OxygenOS 13 on this device is practically identical to the OnePlus 10 Pro's version. If you don't like the colour OSification of OxygenOS, then we have to say this Android 13 based build might not be for you and you might want to avoid it. Performance differences aside, the simple fact is that the OnePlus 10 Pro will actually not be supported for as long as the OnePlus 11, and that's pretty obvious given it was released a year earlier. In late November though, OnePlus confirmed that flagship devices launched in 2023 with no mention of 2022 will get an extra Android update and a further year of bi-monthly security patches. This is great for longevity and actually surpasses Google's own update schedule for the Pixel series. This means you'll be able to get Android 15 on the OnePlus 10 Pro, but Android 17 on the OnePlus 11 within its lifespan. And that's something we really want to see OnePlus attempt to backport for that older version, as it does feel like a little bit of an oversight. The same 5000 mAh battery technology is packed into these OnePlus phones, and this just means a 2000 or dual 2500 mAh cell, which does include super fast charging as you'd expect via wire. This is where some differences start to become apparent though, as the OnePlus 10 Pro has greater charging options across the board here. If you simply must have wireless charging and reverse wireless charging, then sadly, the OnePlus 11 lacks any ability to charge using a Qi pad whatsoever. While that is an undoubted frustration, the improved 100 watt wired charging does offer even faster top-up times. In ideal conditions, it should be able to go from 0 to 100 in under 30 minutes. This is fast, but it's not exponentially faster than the OnePlus 10 Pro's 80 watt fast charging, which can go from 0 to 100 in just 32 minutes, so it's not that much of a big deal in our opinion. That said though, the maximum wired charge speeds are actually lower in North American markets at 65 watts and 80 watts for the OnePlus 10 Pro and OnePlus 11 respectively, so that means you'll get even slower, although they're still admittedly fast, wired chargings. This is supposedly due to North Americans' usage of 110 and 120 volt AC power rather than the 200 or 240 volt standard which is used in global regions. That said, if you're in global regions, you get 100 watt on the brand new device. For us, a bigger frustration is that after years of avoiding adding wireless charging with terrible excuses, it's just disappointing to see the company take a major step backwards and remove the option from one of its best phones today, at least on paper. Whether it's essential will be up to you, but there is certainly an edge to the OnePlus 10 Pro over the OnePlus 11 when it comes to that charging and battery tech on offer. So it's something to think about if you care about these extras. And it also means that certain accessories you may have purchased are now pretty much useless. Where the OnePlus 11 though beats out the OnePlus 10 Pro is in its actual lifespan, and most of this is due to the usage of the more efficient Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 chipset. The added lifespan and marginally faster wireless charging speeds might help make up for that lack of wireless charging, but overall we have to say it feels like a major step back, at least in the battery technology here. There was also a ton of hype surrounding the Hasselblad camera tuning partnership for OnePlus's flagship phones in recent years, and this has certainly improved the camera capabilities, but no OnePlus phone has truly competed, at least in our opinion, with the best in the business, even with that branding attached. Even after just a short period with the OnePlus 11, it is a major step up over the OnePlus 10 Pro, which wasn't quite hard. The latter camera system even had a few downgrades over the OnePlus 9 Pro, so that makes a lot of sense. Clearly though, OnePlus has decided to go all out this time around, and the larger 15 megapixel main sensor is a substantial step up when combined with the improvements to the ultra-wide and the telephoto lens. Things are just much healthier in all areas of the camera this year. Much of the improvements are down to that improved sensor choices. The result is just a more rounded camera system on the OnePlus 11 than the OnePlus 10 Pro, and it excels in areas that the OnePlus 10 Pro really did seem to falter in. The Hasselblad colour system still remains one of the best components though on both of these devices. This includes a number of functions that have merely been tuned and owned rather than redefined. The Hasselblad Master Mode is a prime example, and it's just a bunch of filters that you can add to your images. It certainly feels like the OnePlus 11 camera system is a substantial step up over the OnePlus 10 Pro, as that latter device regressed after following the OnePlus 9 series, but the OnePlus 11 is already shaping up to be the best camera that we've ever seen on a OnePlus phone, that's for sure. So in summary, it is really hard to suggest that anyone should upgrade after just a year, and we don't think anybody should do that unless something absolutely substantial has happened, especially given that there are so many similarities between the OnePlus 10 Pro and the OnePlus 11. At least at face value, it's hard to distinguish between the two phones. Even despite this though, we have to say the newer device has made some important improvements, but in typical OnePlus fashion, still manages to sacrifice features that felt hard fought for or were starting to become standard in the lineups. Losing wireless charging seems silly, and there's absolutely no official IP rating yet again. It's just one constant frustrating omission that we seem to have. If this is the final Hasselblad certified camera system as well, then it could be the best that OnePlus has produced. Does it compete with the best in the industry? Well, we have to say that's debatable, but the camera is impressive when compared to its predecessors. Despite some confusing corner cutting though, the OnePlus 11 does offer some meaningful improvements this year. It feels like there have been some thoughtful changes given the lukewarm response to the OnePlus 10 Pro. It's a better phone in most regards, with extra emphasis on the almost or most section. I want to know though which you would pick down in the comment sections below. Are you going to look to upgrade, even though we suggest that you don't, given that that creates e-waste? Until next time though, this is Damien with 9to5 Google saying thanks for watching, and I will speak to you later.